You sit there quietly, staring at the phone screen. Hours pass, maybe even days, and still there is no new message, no explanation, no sign of life from the person who once made you feel like the center of their world. The silence feels heavier than words ever could, like a shadow stretching across your chest, making every breath a little harder. Outside, life carries on. The sun rises, people rush to work, laughter echoes from nearby streets, but inside, it feels like everything has stopped. You ask yourself, if he truly cared, then why would he walk away without saying a word? Why would he leave without looking back? The questions echo inside you until they feel unbearable. But what if this silence means more than rejection? What if it is not just about him, but about something deeper that has been waiting to be seen within you? Carl Jung believed that everything we experience on the outside reflects something hidden inside. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." His words remind us that the pain you feel right now is not only about his absence, but also about the hidden wounds, the forgotten fears, and the old scars that silence awakens. Imagine yourself sitting alone in a cafe. A warm cup of coffee rests on the table, steam rising in slow curls. Around you, conversations and laughter weave together like background music, but your mind isn't there. Your mind is fixated on the empty space left by his silence. You scroll through old conversations. You replay moments in your head. You search for clues about what went wrong. But Jung would tell you, the answers you're searching for in him can only be found in you. The silence you feel so strongly is not just a gap left by his absence. It is a mirror reflecting the parts of yourself you've been afraid to face. Maybe this silence awakens a familiar ache, something you felt before. Perhaps it reminds you of the time as a child when you felt unseen, or the sting of being ignored when you needed comfort most. That is why it hurts so deeply now, because it doesn't just belong to this moment. It carries the weight of old wounds that were never fully healed. His walking away has simply unlocked the door that keeps those memories hidden, and now they are rushing back into the light. It's natural to wonder, what did I do wrong? Am I not good enough? Did I push him away? But Jung would urge you to pause and turn those questions inward. He would remind you that the silence is not punishment. It is an invitation. Instead of asking why he left, ask yourself what part of you is rising to the surface right now. What are you truly afraid of losing? Is it him? Or is it the part of you that feels unworthy without his attention? Close your eyes for a moment and feel the silence inside. It might feel like emptiness, like abandonment, like rejection. But if you listen more closely, you may notice something else. Beneath the ache, there is a quiet voice whispering, "See me. Don't run from me. Hold me this time instead of pushing me away." This is not the voice of him. This is the voice of your unconscious, asking you to finally look at what you've been carrying for so long. Think of it like a dream. When you wake from a dream with your heart pounding, you don't always understand the images, but you know they mean something. Silence works the same way. It is symbolic. It cannot be explained fully with logic, but it can be felt. And if you allow yourself to feel it instead of escaping it, you begin to uncover its meaning. Picture yourself at night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The urge to reach for your phone is almost overwhelming, but you resist. Instead, you place your hand on your chest and you ask, what am I really longing for? Is it his love, or is it the love I have denied myself for too long? Slowly, you begin to realize that the pain is not only about him disappearing, it is about the parts of you that have been waiting, aching, and longing to be acknowledged. Jung compared the unconscious to an ocean, vast, deep, sometimes frightening, but always alive. At first, stepping into this ocean feels terrifying, as though you might drown in its waves of emotion. But little by little, you discover that you are learning to swim. The silence becomes less of a threat and more of a teacher. It shows you that your worth is not defined by someone else's presence. It reveals that the emptiness you feel is not permanent. It is a doorway leading you back to yourself. Instead of seeing silence as rejection, you begin to see it as revelation. It reveals the patterns you keep repeating, the old wounds you keep ignoring, the parts of yourself you keep abandoning in the name of love. It is uncomfortable, sometimes unbearably so, but within that discomfort lies the opportunity to break free. Imagine yourself again with that phone in your hand, staring at the empty screen. This time, instead of sending another message or scrolling, through the past you pause. You let the silence be there, and slowly you realize that you are still here. You are breathing. You are alive. You have the power to turn this silence into a mirror, a moment of awakening, a chance to care for yourself in the way you have always longed for someone else to care. So perhaps he did care. Perhaps he didn't. But the real truth is that the answer has never been in him. The answer has always been in you, in how you respond to this silence, in how you choose to face what it awakens, and in whether you can finally stay with yourself when someone else cannot. Because in the end, love is not proven by whether someone stays. Love is proven by whether you choose to stay with yourself, even when they don't. There comes a moment when the silence stretches so long that you feel yourself unraveling. You check the phone again, hoping for some sign, some explanation, but nothing arrives. At first, it feels like betrayal. The person who once made you feel so alive has vanished into quietness, leaving only a hollow space behind. And in that emptiness, the mind begins to create stories. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe you were never enough. Maybe everything you shared was an illusion. These thoughts sting like glass, but beneath them, something even deeper begins to stir. Carl Jung believed that every experience of love and loss uncovers a hidden part of ourselves. When someone leaves without words, it is not just their absence we feel, but the resurfacing of everything inside us that has been abandoned before. The heartache we suffer now carries echoes of old wounds, childhood memories, moments of rejection, times when we were unseen. His silence is not only his, it is also ours, reflecting all the forgotten places within us. You may remember moments from long ago, memories you thought you had buried. A parent too busy to listen, a friend who suddenly pulled away, a time when you wanted so desperately to be chosen but were left standing alone. His silence today pulls open the same wound, and suddenly you are not just mourning him, you are mourning every moment you ever felt unloved. This is why the pain feels unbearable, as though it is larger than the present moment. It is not just about now. It is about then too. The temptation is to run from this pain, to distract yourself, to numb it, to send one more message hoping it will erase the ache. But Jung would tell you that the pain itself is sacred. He would say that this very suffering is not your enemy, but your guide. He once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." His words remind us that what hurts now is also what wakes us up. Think of it like a wound on your body. If left hidden and ignored, it festers. But once exposed to light and air, it begins to heal. Emotional pain works the same way. When someone's silence cuts you open, it is not just to hurt you, it is to reveal what is inside, to give you the chance to finally tend to it with care. His silence may not be a rejection of you, but an opportunity for you to stop rejecting yourself. Imagine standing by a window at night. Outside, the city hums, but inside, everything is still. The ache in your chest feels almost unbearable, like a storm pressing against your ribs. And yet, if you breathe slowly, if you allow yourself to feel without judgment, something subtle begins to shift. Instead of drowning in loneliness, you begin to hear the quiet truth hidden beneath it. You have always longed for someone to see you, but maybe the one you've been waiting for has always been yourself. Jung taught that the people we meet often carry parts of ourselves we have not yet faced. Lovers, friends, even strangers, all become mirrors of the unconscious. When he was near, perhaps he reflected back your joy, your light, the parts of yourself you were proud to see. But now, through his absence, he reflects the shadow. The wounds, the insecurities, the fears. It is painful, yes, but it is also necessary. For until we see the shadow, we remain trapped by it. You may wonder, how can silence be love? How can someone's withdrawal mean anything but indifference? And yet, love does not always arrive in the form of presence. Sometimes it arrives in the form of absence, because absence forces us to face ourselves. When he leaves, the question shifts from does he care to do I care enough to face the truth within me? His silence becomes a doorway, and the choice is yours. Walk through it into self-discovery, or turn away and remain stuck in the same cycle of longing. It is not easy. The heart resists. The mind keeps searching for reasons, for closure, for words that will make sense of what happened. But often, the closure we seek from others is the closure we must create within ourselves. We may never know why he left, why he withdrew, why the messages stopped. But we can know why the silence hurts, and in knowing that, we begin to heal. Picture yourself months from now looking back on this very moment. Will you remember only the pain? Or will you remember how the pain became the turning point, the moment you stopped abandoning yourself? His silence does not define your worth. It defines his journey, but your response to it defines yours. There is a strange power in realizing that the very thing you feared, being left alone, is also the very thing that sets you free. For in that aloneness, you discover your own strength. You learn to hold yourself the way you wished he would have held you. You begin to see that love is not only what is given to you by another, it is what you cultivate within. And slowly, step by step, the silence changes. What once felt like a prison begins to feel like space. What once felt like abandonment begins to feel like freedom. You realize that his silence did not take away your voice, it led you back to it. So as the hours stretch on and the phone remains quiet, remember this. His absence does not mean you are unworthy. It means life is asking you to look inward, to listen to the parts of yourself that have been waiting too long. This silence is not an ending. It is a beginning. It is the first step into a deeper journey of self-discovery, one that will teach you that love does not vanish when someone leaves. It awakens when you finally turn toward yourself. The silence has lasted so long that at first it felt like an enemy. It kept you awake at night, filled your days with restless thoughts, and made your chest ache with questions that had no answers. But slowly, as time passes, something inside you begins to shift. The silence you once feared starts to take on a different meaning. It no longer feels like a punishment, but like a teacher. At first, its lessons are hard and uncomfortable, but they are lessons you cannot ignore. You begin to notice that the moments of quiet are not just empty spaces. They are mirrors, reflecting back to you all the parts of yourself you had forgotten. The loneliness reveals how deeply you have longed for connection. The ache in your chest shows how much you have yearned to be seen. And the fear of abandonment teaches you that you have been abandoning yourself for far too long. His absence forces you to stand face to face with yourself, and though it feels heavy, it also begins to feel strangely powerful. Carl Jung believed that each experience we go through, no matter how painful, is guiding us toward wholeness. When people leave us, they often awaken the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we have avoided. And while the shadow is uncomfortable to face, it is also the doorway to growth. The silence left behind by someone you loved is not just an ending. It is also an invitation to integrate those hidden parts, to accept them, and to finally see yourself fully. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. For a long time it lies in darkness, unseen, surrounded by silence. But within that silence, transformation is happening. The seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and something new is preparing to emerge. Pain works in the same way. The darkness you feel right now is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something new. The silence is breaking you open so that something greater can take root inside you. Imagine walking alone one evening. The world quiet except for the sound of your footsteps. In the past, that kind of aloneness may have terrified you because it reminded you of what you had lost. But now, as you walk, you begin to feel something different. The silence no longer feels empty. It feels spacious. It feels like a place where you can finally hear your own voice, your own truth, without the noise of someone else's presence. You begin to understand that solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is the place where you meet yourself again. It is here, in this space, that self-love begins to grow. At first it feels awkward, even unnatural, to offer yourself the same kindness and attention you once begged from others. But over time you realize that this is what you were truly longing for all along. Not the message on your phone, not the validation from someone else, but the steady, unwavering love that only you can give to yourself. His silence has pushed you toward this discovery, and though it hurt to get here, you begin to feel grateful for the lesson. Jung once said that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That is exactly what you are doing. You are taking the silence that once haunted you, and you are turning it into a source of light. You are acknowledging the darkness inside, and by doing so, you are freeing yourself from it. This is not about forgetting him or pretending the pain never happened. This is about transforming the pain into wisdom, about letting the silence guide you toward a deeper understanding of who you truly are. One day, when you look back on this time, you may no longer remember it as the season when you were abandoned. Instead, you will remember it as the season when you found yourself. His absence may have been the spark, but the real journey was always within you. And now you see that you are not defined by who stayed or who left. You are defined by the strength you discovered in the silence, the love you learned to give yourself, and the wholeness that was always waiting inside you. So when the silence comes again, and it will in different forms with different people, you will no longer fear it. You will no longer see it as rejection. You will recognize it as a mirror, as a teacher, as an invitation to return to yourself once more. And you will smile, because now you know the truth. Silence was never empty. Silence was always full of meaning, full of lessons, full of love that you were finally ready to receive. And in that realization, you discover the most important thing of all, that love was never lost. It was never taken away. It has always been here, within you, waiting for you to come home.